We're staying in Abuja, where President Bola Tinubu is now talking tough. The president says any minister or presidential aide that underperforms in the discharge of their assigned duties and responsibilities will be sacked. The president spoke when he declared open the 2023 cabinet retreat for ministers, presidential aides, permanent secretaries, and top government functionaries, with a focus on delivering on the renewed hope agenda. TVC News State House correspondent Femi Akonde reports.
President Tinubu has empowered his special advisor on policy to supervise a result and delivery unit that will keep ministers on their toes and monitor their key performance index. President Tinubu also insists his administration will not make excuses for the failures of past administrations and emphasize that the priority of the government will be improving education, healthcare, and eradicating poverty.
At the end of this retreat, they are going to sign a bond of understanding between you, the ministers, the permanent secretary, and myself. If you are performing, nothing to fear. If you miss the objective, we review. If no performance, you leave us.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, who supervises the Federal Cabinet on behalf of President Tinubu, says members of the President's Cabinet must be accountable and work for the actualization of the renewed hope agenda.
The bonds contain the ministerial deliverables alongside their key performance indicators, KPIs. Each of the KPIs contain the baseline data and targets for the next 4 years.
There were goodwill messages from the British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Richard Montgomery, and the World Bank Country Director, Shubham Chowdhury. The British envoy says he admires President Tinubu's leadership, especially his international engagements, and promised his country's support for Nigeria.
Nigeria faces big security, economic, and social challenges. In a global context, the big challenges: a difficult global economy, shifting geopolitical and foreign policy pressures.
So we're here to support your programs. We take your guidance from you. But even though we have the word bank in our names, I hope you will think of us as more than a bank. I mean, our real hope is that you will trust us and that we will be able to earn your trust, that we have something more to offer in the nature of solutions.
President Tinubu says the purpose of the retreat is to get the ministers to sign a bond of understanding that will be a commitment to service delivery without any form of mediocrity. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
And for more on this instruction by the president, let's speak with the Director General, Center for Credible Leadership and Citizens Awareness, Dr. Gabriel Nwambu. He joins us live via Zoom from Abuja. Good to have you join us, Dr. Gabriel. So,
good evening.
Good evening.
And thanks for having me.
So we've seen, in several administrations where ministers stay on even for 8 years, while citizens are saying, look, they are not performing. So when the president made this kind of statement, what's your interpretation?
Thank you so much for your question. The statement by President Bola Tinubu, is to a greater extent replicates somebody that is committed to good governance, transparency, and accountability of government. It gives a very clear vision that he is a no-nonsense president that is determined to have a very high-quality service delivery to the populace of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And it's no longer in doubt whether the president means well for Nigeria or not. It is a president, by his statement, that has demonstrated his resolute determination to dot all the T's and cross all the T's and dot all the I's as far as administration and good governance with reference to the Federal Republic of Nigeria is concerned.
And in your opinion, what should be the performance indices And at what point should the president say, look, you haven't met this mark, so you should be out?
Yes, the president as the commander-in-chief might not come in the open to tell us the terms of reference. And however, he must have a template. He must have a template for each of the ministers. He must have terms for reference, for each of the ministers. But he might not disclose it to the populace of Nigeria. So with this parameter defined, the president will be able to assess whether a particular minister, is performing according to the terms of reference or is underperforming. And he has stated very clearly that no non-performing minister would be comfortable with him. In fact, the person will find his way out. So that is a very good statement, and that is the way to go as far as a new Nigeria is concerned.
And the president also talked about signing a bond. We'll see how all of that plays out. Thank you so much for talking to us, Director General, Center for Credible Leadership and Citizens Awareness, Dr. Gabriel Nwambu.
Thanks for having me. Good evening.
We're staying in the nation's capital. The Senate has approved the sums of $7.8 billion and 100 million euros in President Bola Tinubu's proposed 2022 to 2024 borrowing plan. The president had written to the Senate requesting consideration and early approval of the 2022 to 2024 external borrowing plan to ensure prompt implementation of projects. Nigeria's Works Minister, Dave Umahi, says Nigeria needs 18.6 trillion naira to fix its roads in the next 4 years. The minister spoke at a budget defense session attended by other ministers, service chiefs, and chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission. National Assembly correspondent Joke Adisa reports.
The Speaker, House of Representatives, Abbas Tajuddin, on Tuesday acknowledged receipt of the 2.176 trillion naira 2023 supplementary budget from President Bola Tinubu, barely 24 hours after the Appropriation Committee's meeting with heads of ministries, departments, and agencies of the federal government to defend their proposed expenditure in the fiscal document. The Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, speaks of government's determination to make appreciable impact in the lives of the citizens. He speaks on the ministry's plan for the disbursement of the 300 billion naira in the supplementary budget.
It's very critical. That's the reason why I believe the president, he about 200 billion for Ministry of Agri.
Other ministers, including the INEC chairman, also defended their budget proposals, arguing for a possible increase.
What is allocated to FCT is 100 billion. And out of that 100 billion, we are requesting for 3.4 billion for security, equipment, buying of vehicles. All security agencies have complained of lack of vehicles, lack of logistics.
We have one of the largest workforces in the country, over 15,600 staff, and it's not easy to find the money to pay in the absence of supplementary appropriation. So we made a case to government, and we have been included in this supplementary appropriation.
We had a challenge of anthrax. We were all aware that we had a disease that has threatened some states of the Federation, and if care is not taken, it's a disease that can quickly wipe out livestock.
A breakdown of the supplementary budget shows Ministry of Housing gets 100 billion naira, service-wide vote is 615 billion naira, capital supplementation of 210.5 billion naira, and the Independent National Electoral Commission's 18 billion naira.
Anyone who is not in the security, I think, can take a leave so that we can be able to start another segment for this proceeding.
Security chiefs defended their budget proposals behind closed doors with the House Committee on Appropriations. Joke Adisa, TVC News, Abuja.
Let's now bring you the latest update on the Rivers crisis. Now, a Rivers State High Court has restrained the House of Assembly, the Speaker of the House, Martin Zameule, from carrying out any action targeted at impeaching Governor Siminalayi Fubara. The court sitting in Isiokpo Division, Ikore local government area, also restrained the Deputy Speaker, the Clerk of the House, and the Chief Judge of the state. The presiding judge, Justice Ben White, issued the restraining order following a suit filed by Governor Fubara through his counsel, Damian Okoro. The court directed the parties to maintain status quo pending the determination of the motion on notice. The case was adjourned to the 14th of November. And still in Rivers, Governor Siminalayi Fubara says the political crisis rocking the state will be resolved peacefully. He gave this assurance when the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, paid him a courtesy visit at the government house in Port Harcourt. Senior reporter Uche Okoro has details.
The Chief of Defense Staff was accompanied by the heads of the Nigerian Army 6th Division, Operation Delta Safe, the Eastern Naval Command, and the Nigerian Navy ship Pathfinder. Though his visit is a presidential directive to tighten security in the South-South region ahead of the November 11 elections in Bayelsa and Imo states, the political tension in Rivers State was also discussed, with Governor Fubara assuring that all stakeholders would soon be reunited as one happy family.
I know a few things must have is going on, and everybody is wondering what is happening, what is not happening. We're okay. There is no problem. If we have an internal issue, it will be resolved, and everything will go back to normal. There is nothing wrong if a father and his son has problem, if there is any problem. But I don't think there is anything. Whatever it is, I will definitely resolve the issue.
Before now, I know a few days there have been issues that have been going on. But we want to just pray for peace and tranquility.
On the forthcoming polls, the defense chief said the military's assignment is to ensure that the exercise is violence-free.
It is from the president that his desire that henceforth elections should be conducted differently, without rancor, without violence, without intimidation. And he has assured us he does not have any candidate at mind, that we should provide an enabling environment so that voters can come out and freely vote who they want.
Military is known for discipline, so I'm not surprised when you mention it. And I strongly believed that this off-season election is going to be one of the best transparent elections.
Governor Fubara pledged his administration's commitment to partnership with the armed forces, especially in the fight against crude oil theft. Uche Okoro, TVC News, Port Harcourt.
And here in Lagos, the Federal Ministry of Works has postponed the comprehensive repairs of the third Mainland Bridge by a week. The repairs will now start on Monday, November the 6th. Federal Controller of Works in Lagos, Olukorede Kisha, spoke with TVC News in a telephone conversation earlier today. The repairs were supposed to begin at midnight on Wednesday. The repair works will begin with the ramps connecting Oworoshoki to Adekunle and Lagos Island to Adekunle. The Controller of Works noted that these two ramps will be closed to traffic by 7 a.m. on Monday, the 6th November, for 5 weeks. However, motorists will still be able to use the main carriageway to the island.
We're not closing all the 4 ramps at the same time. We're closing 2 ramps at the same time. Iyanowo to Adekunle will be closed. Lagos Island to Adekunle will be closed at the same time for about 2 weeks. After which we will open it to motorists. Then we'll change again. We'll now change from Adekunle to Iyanowo and Adekunle to Lagos Island. So as we are doing the expansion joint, we are doing the resurfacing complete. So after 5 weeks, the 4 ramps will have a very brand new look with asphalt and most of the defective expansion joints.
And still to come,